Hello there, Aqua here again, your speech and language support with Attach SC Consultancy Limited. This is part two of our strategies to support the understanding of language. So, in my previous video, in the part one of this, we talked about a few strategies that we could use to support children's understanding of language. So, good looking, so call the child's name so that they're looking at you as you're talking to them. We talked about using their names so that to get their attention. We talked about simplifying your language so that the instructions that you're giving are quite clear and simple for them to follow. We talked about chunking your instructions. So if you have an activity that requires a few different steps, then you give the instructions as you go along. You do not give the whole set of instructions at the same time. You chunk the instructions as the specific activity goes along. And then last thing that we talked about was to demonstrate what you want them to do. So not only give the instructions, demonstrate how to do the activity by showing them doing it alongside them so that the child knows exactly what we want them to do. So today we're going to look at a couple more strategies. So the next strategy that we're looking at is to tell the child exactly what you want them to do. Instead of giving the instructions in a negative, we want to give instructions in a positive. So if you want a child to walk, tell them, let's walk and not stop running or don't run. So give the child the instruction in a positive way. So, for example, another thing is you say, John, don't roll on the floor. That is not how we want to give the instructions. We want to say, John, show me good sitting. So, same as if the climbing on the chairs or on the tables, we do not go, we try and put it in a positive thing. We sit on a chair. Show good sitting instead of saying, don't climb, don't jump on the chairs. Let us show good sitting so that the child knows exactly what you want them to do. Because sometimes we can say, don't run, but do we mean that they should crawl? What do we want them to what exactly do we want them to do? So it's better to give them specific instructions. Tell them what you want them to do rather than telling them what you don't want them to do. Another thing that we can do is teach them vocabulary. Now, if it was in the school, if you're in a school setting or in a preschool setting, you can and you are doing topics, then that's quite easy. You find the keywords on that topic and you teach the children in advance to learning about that topic. But at home, as a parent, we want to be the child to be able to use language that we use frequently in the house. So we need to know about the toilet, we need to know about food, we need to know about drink, we need to know about child needs to be able to request for their needs to be met. So we want to use some functional words that for the child needs on a daily basis. We want to know about brushing our teeth. We want to know about bath time, maybe story time if you have a routine for that, maybe school routine. You have different things that you want the child to know that you work with on a daily basis and that the words that they need to be able to communicate their needs with you frequently. So we can also use pictures and symbols to support the child to understand these things. So you want pictures of maybe the people in your household so that they know that this is mom, this is dad. Obviously, they'll know them, but you may want to make sure that they can say mommy or daddy or the names of the people in the house. So you can use pictures. You can use pictures of the fridge, where to get the food, the cupboards. You can use picture of the toilet. You can use a picture of the bed, toothbrushing. You know, all the keywords that you need the child to learn to be able to communicate their needs. We want them to be able to recognize them in different forms. So pictures are great for this, and symbols are also very good. So alongside with instructions, we show them the symbols and then we demonstrate like we saw last time. And the next strategy we can use to support a child understanding language is to ask questions or simplify question words. So, for example, if you want the child to tell you um, to tell you who is in the house, maybe you say, "Who is that person in the sitting room?" So rather than telling them who is that person in the sitting room, maybe you can ask them, "Can you tell me the person in the sitting room?" Rather than using the word who, say, "Can you tell me the person?" So the person substitutes the who. So so they know that what you want them to do is to describe an individual. So if they don't yet know what that who represents a person, then they will struggle to point to the person or tell you the name of the person who is in the living room. So it's better to say, "Can you tell me the person sitting in the living room?" rather than say who is in the living room. So reinforce with specifics. So you can say the man in the living room, or the woman, or the child, or whoever is in the living room. We have to reinforce with specifics like that, the person rather than who. Some things to avoid is something like sarcasm and metaphors. Sometimes when children are learning language, we not even sometimes when children are learning language, they will struggle to understand um, um, sentences or words that have a different meaning that are used as in substitute to the same word. So for to a commonly used word. So for example, we want bread to be bread. We don't want to start saying baguette bread, croissants, or rolls, or bams, or burger bread. We just want bread to be bread. So use the word bread consistently throughout. Even though it represents different types of bread, it is still bread. So when we're working with children, we should avoid sarcasm or double meanings and metaphors. So another example is if a child is doing something that you do not want them to do, you can sometimes we say things like pack it in, pack it in. What does that mean to a child who doesn't yet understand? What we need to say is, "Jane, can you stop doing that?" rather than say pack it in. And there are lots of different things that we say, colloquial language that we use with children who are struggling to understand language that we're making things complicated. And so when you say to a child, pack it in, and they don't understand what you've said and they continue playing or doing whatever they're doing, you think that they're ignoring you, whereas they haven't understood your instructions at all. So tell them it's time to tidy up. Let's stop what we're doing and tidy up. So another thing is, like I said before, we need visual support. With all the strategies that we've looked at so far, we can always use visual support to get the message across. So use photos, pictures, symbols that represent the activity that we want them to take part in, or that the object that we want them to understand. So use objects as much as possible, especially with younger children. When giving them things to play with, we need to name everything that we are giving them. If possible, show them the actual object that you want them to learn to name. So the vocabulary that you want to use, if possible, have objects of reference so that if you're saying that, "Would you like an apple?" Show them what an apple is. "Would you like an orange?" Show them what an orange is. So if possible, show them the actual physical object when you are trying to help them learn new vocabulary. So that is all that we're going to look at today. So to recap, we tell the child what to do rather than what not to do. So, John, let's sit down instead of John, stop jumping on the chairs. We look at teaching them the vocabulary that we want them to learn in advance. So, if we want to look at a topic, for example, our body parts, we find the different find the different specific words that we want them to learn and teach them the words that we want them to learn, and then before we associate it to the whole body. Um, or if we're looking at seasons or things like that. So teach them the vocabulary in advance. And when asking questions, um, let's try to use words that they will understand. So instead of saying, "Who is that in the garden?" say, "Can you tell me the person in the garden?" So choose your questions rightly and avoid sarcasm or metaphors or slang that the children will not understand or they have not yet come across. And then use visuals. Use pictures of things to support the language that you want to teach them. So we've gone a bit long on this video. So those are the strategies that I wanted to um, discuss with you today on this video. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos and tips like these. Hope this has been helpful. So see you again sometime soon. Bye.